MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 234 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. I'm Allison Gill.
What's up, AG? Hey, y'all. It's Harry Dunn here. We have a lot to cover, including a federal judge holding January 6th organizer Caroline Wren in contempt for failing to hand over documents in the civil case brought by Capitol Police officers. And it appears Rudy Giuliani is also failing to hand over documents, too. So we got some Rudy news.
Rudy not handing over documents?
No, not him, right?
Surely not. Also, Justice Kagan has denied 4 Seattle cops their bid to keep their names a secret pursuant to a public records request. These 4 cops, by the way, were there at January 6th.
Yeah.
And a magistrate judge has recommended that Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan's motion to dismiss her case on immunity and 10th Amendment grounds be dismissed. Or denied, I should say.
Yeah. And we have some new information about Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh,
not that kind of information, but not what y'all are looking for. But you may remember the prosecutor who gave Epstein his sweetheart deal in Florida was appointed by Trump to serve as his labor secretary during the first term. That prosecutor's name, Alex Acosta. And Matt Gertz at Media, not Gates, but Gertz at Media Matters is reporting that Acosta now serves on the board for Newsmax.
Oh, Newsmax?
Yeah, that
mostly
Newsmax.
Owned by Trump Media? Like, he had a big favor done for him? That's interesting. That'll please the MAGA conspiracy theorists, I'm sure. So Newsmax revealed in a June 11th press release that, quote, former U.S. Secretary of Labor Alex Acosta, who was appointed to the board upon the closing of the company's initial public offering in March of this year, he was appointed to the board of Newsmax in March. Biographical information for Acosta included in the release notes that, quote, from 2005 to 2009, Acosta served as a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, and states that President Trump nominated him for labor secretary in February of 2017. Now, the Newsmax release does not detail the circumstances under which Acosta stepped down from that office, but Newsmax's July 2019 report on his resignation notes that it followed, quote, renewed scrutiny of his handling of a 2008 secret plea deal with wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein, who is accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls.
Yeah, and here's how the Miami Herald described that sweetheart deal that Acosta gave Epstein. Not only would Epstein serve just 13 months in county jail, but the deal, called a non-prosecution agreement, essentially shut down an ongoing FBI probe into whether there were more victims and other powerful people who took part in Epstein's sex crimes. That's according to the Miami Herald's examination of thousands of emails, court documents, and FBI records.
Yeah, and it goes on to say that the pact, this plea deal, required Epstein to plead guilty to 2 prostitution charges in state court. Epstein and 4 of his accomplices named in the agreement received immunity from all federal criminal charges. But even more unusual, the deal included wording that granted immunity, quote, to any potential co-conspirators who were also involved in Epstein's crimes. These accomplices or participants were not identified by name in the agreement, leaving it open to interpretation, whether it possibly referred to other influential people who were raping underage girls at Epstein's various homes or on his plane. As part of the arrangement, Acosta agreed, despite a federal law to the contrary, that the deal would be kept from the victims. As a result, the non-prosecution agreement was sealed until after it was approved by the judge, thereby averting any chance that the girls or anyone else could show up in court to try to derail it.
Yeah, a Florida judge ruled in 2019 that the prosecutors, led by Acosta, had violated federal law by signing the Epstein plea deal agreement without notifying the victims. That's a big no-no when it comes to plea deals and stuff like that. The victims have a right to know. While a 2020 Justice Department report found that Acosta had exercised poor judgment in doing so. Acosta,
a 2020 report.
2020 report. Exactly. So we know what happened then. Acosta's position in the first Trump administration is one of numerous connections between Epstein and the president and his associates, which are typically ignored in the MAGA conspiracy theories. But they're being brought to light now.
And they want to know. Now the conspiracy theorists are mad and they want to know all this stuff.
And we're happy to bring them all out to you.
Welcome to Clean Up on Aisle 45, our new MAGA listeners.
MAGA listeners, we hate you, but here's your information. A few months after Acosta joined the Newsmax board, Trump Media and Technology Group, the company which owns Truth Social and counts President Donald Trump as its largest shareholder, announced that it had reached a deal with Newsmax to stream its content.
Interesting. So the guy who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal that says that none of his co-conspirators or anybody on the client list could ever be prosecuted or brought to light publicly has just been given a bunch of money and a cushy new job by the Trump administration.
I feel like reading this, it kind of, as we're reading it, I imagine myself in a dark room with pictures of people in the red string and pens connecting all the strings. You know how you see those crime movies?
Oh, the murder boards.
The murder boards. You just follow it back and it's just like, whoa, this all makes sense now. I mean, especially when you see these deals and it's no wonder he was appointed to those cushy positions and given the sweetheart deals. So.
Yeah. And Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in prison, who was somehow exempt from that non-prosecution agreement, she appealed her conviction, and that's gone all the way up to the Supreme Court. And in the last few months or so, for a while now, DOJ has been they're supposed to have responded to whether or not they support Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal to the Supreme Court, right? Like, the Supreme Court says, "What do you think, DOJ? Should we grant certiorari to Ghislaine Maxwell and hear her appeal?" And twice now, the Department of Justice has said, "Can we tell you later? We'd like to tell you later." But that was due Monday. And it got filed by John Sauer, who's the Solicitor General at the Department of Justice. And what it says is that, hey, even though Acosta made a sweetheart deal that said none of Epstein's co-conspirators could be touched by the law, we don't think Ghislaine Maxwell counts. And so we do not support her appeal.
And now we could just speculate why the woman is exempt from that deal, right? What do you think it is, AG? Why do you think that everybody except her?
Yeah, and I mean they lay it all out in their reasoning, and it was the same reasoning that they prosecuted her in the first place, right? But the problem here is you can see how this is going to be a problem for the MAGA cultists who really want the Epstein files released. Because the reason that they're not releasing the client list is obviously because Acosta made this deal that said they would all be protected, right?
Yeah.
All these famous people who raped all these underage girls would be protected as part of his state deal in Florida. And so Trump then made him labor secretary, rewarding him for that. And then, later on put him on the, got him at a job at the board of Newsmax, which now Trump Media is streaming.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that the DOJ really didn't want to oppose Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal, but they kind of had to. They tried to put it off. And so now I think the MAGA cultists are going to be like, okay, they're trying to keep her silent.
Because she knows something. She knows
a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so they finally had to turn in their thing to the Supreme Court. And a lot of it goes back to this Acosta guy. So I think it's really fascinating. And I'm glad Matt Gertz wrote this up for Media Matters, that he's got this cushy new job and he's making money hand over fist thanks to the Trump Media Corporation.
Yeah. And we'll just wait to see what happens with the Supreme Court, with what they decide on this, because correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't one of the factors determining about the cases is public interest? Is that one of the factors the Supreme Court uses to?
Yeah, but I think what's more important here is that Pam Bondi isn't going to let her off the hook, which is just going to piss her off. And, because people were like, oh, is Trump going to pardon her in exchange for her silence? But now he kind of can't. I mean, he can. He can do whatever he wants. But now that the DOJ has officially said to the Supreme Court that her conviction should stand, that would be really extra weird. And I really hope somebody gets in there and interviews her.
Before we can imagine the worst or whatever, right?
Yeah, Molly, you in danger, girl, right? From ghosts,
you in danger, girl, run.
So she's in prison and she's pissed at Trump and Bondi now, as are most of the MAGA folks who wanted these Epstein files released this whole time. But, I sat there and I thought for sure that the Trump administration and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were going to put together like a Twitter files cherry-picked version of the Epstein files to release. And I was like, why haven't they? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Acosta, who's, by the way, is now making a bunch of money thanks to Donald Trump, gave all of the clients on the high-powered clients immunity. As part of that deal. So there's something going on behind the scenes. And now that the, MAGA conspiracy theorists are interested in these things, they're going to learn about it and they're going to be really mad about it too. And there's been Daily Mail reported that Ghislaine Maxwell and her attorneys have said, we'll come testify to Congress, and I was like, here's where Trump and Bondi make friends with Ghislaine Maxwell to get her to say only names of people they don't like that were on there.
Well, let me ask you a question though. So going back to the Congress thing, let's go into another layer real quick. Do you think that this Congress, whatever committee that is, what committee would that be? Probably oversight or judiciary committee? Would that person subpoena them? Or
not now. The Republicans, not now. Yeah. Not now that Bondi and Trump has hung her out to dry. She's going to come in and say, but
there are enough. I think there are enough people, and maybe this is just me wishful thinking. I think there are enough people in the MAGA world that want full transparency and clearness on this. And I mean, could you find 3 Republicans or however many it takes? I don't know what the procedure is. Could the Democrats call a witness? Could they call her? Could the Democrats call her on a hearing? And I don't know. I'm just wondering. I think there are a lot of people that are pissed off about the way this is unfolding, and they want.
But you would have to have enough Republicans and enough of their constituents be pissed off enough at Donald Trump to throw him under the bus.
Yeah,
this would finally be the quote unquote off ramp, that would make the difference. I don't know.
The 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th off ramp. Final exit. It's kind of like you're driving and you see last exit before the toll bridge. You have to get off here. You're going to have to pay a toll.
Insurrection, fine. Concentration camps, cool. But not the Epstein files.
This is it.
I don't know that we would see that. It depends on how heavy the thumb of Trump is on this Congress. And, Democrats can't do anything in Congress.
Not till we win it in 2026. So
Right. Right. And then
we got to bubble wrap her until 2026 then at least, right?
What if the whole thing is, hey, MAGA cultists, we know you don't like Democrats, but if you help us flip the House, we'll get Ghislaine Maxwell.
We'll get the truth about that's worked for Republicans. We're going to do investigations. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to do this. All these false promises that have happened that Republicans do. But I think Democrats will promise it and they'll actually do it this time, though.
Who knows? But hey, I'm down. If I were a Democrat running for Congress, I'd be like, I'll get to the bottom of this for you, MAGA. Just make sure you flip the House.
Put us in power and we'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, we keep our promises.
Yeah. Hello. They sure do. They do.
All right. We have some pretty good news about one Caroline Wren. You'll remember she was one of those ladies who was one of the organizers of the Stop the Steal January 6th rallies and January 5th rally.
Yeah.
And the court is none too pleased with her. And we're going to talk about the contempt finding and the fines and how she's responded to it in a civil suit brought by your colleagues, your former colleagues, Harry.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that, but we have to take a quick break. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Before we move on, we need to give a shout out to our Hall of Fame patrons. Amazing, amazing Hall of Fame patrons, including Maria Tovar, Mr. Stu Pedasso, Steve Towell, Tricycular Manslaughter. All of Baltimore isn't actually like The Wire.
That's good. That's good.
They're both good. Jens Eilstrup Rasmussen, Greg Robin Smith, a.k.a. Benjamin Franklin Live, Greg Kreimer, Patty B., Accidental Bird Sanctuary founder. So thank you, everyone, for supporting independent media, supporting our show. If you want to become a patron, you get these episodes early. You get them ad-free. You get to join us on our Q&A monthly happy hour extravaganza bonanza things where you can ask us questions. It's super cheap, and you can sign up by going to patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE, the number 4, the number 5, and POD. All right, let's talk about January 6th organizer, Caroline Wren. Just a peach. This woman is awful. She is horrible.
Terrible.
Like I envision her putting shoe polish under her eyes at night to help Martha Alito raise racist flags in the night. Like that's who I think of when I think of Caroline Wren. Now, as you know, a group of January 6th Capitol Police officers filed a civil suit against Donald Trump and the organizers of January 6th. And as part of this lawsuit, Caroline Wren and a bunch of others were subpoenaed for documents. Well, apparently, Wren just ignored the subpoena. Politico says a federal judge, though, has ordered one of the organizers of Trump's January 6, 2021 rally to pay a daily $2,000 fine after weeks of skirting a civil court subpoena for records related to her role in the events. Caroline Wren, longtime Republican fundraiser, who was a liaison between the Trump White House and the participants in the January 6th rally. I don't know why they're calling it a rally. Helping arrange speakers, coordinated the timeline, boosted attendance. She's among the many witnesses subpoenaed by Capitol Police officers suing Trump, accusing him of fomenting the violence that occurred that day in a lawsuit that has been pending for 4 years.
Yeah, it's been going on. I know every officer that's in that lawsuit, and we're anxiously awaiting for them to get some.
Is it Blasingame at all? Is that what it's called?
Blasingame. It's
Blasingame. Okay.
But it's a bunch of other officers in there.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
But yeah, I know them all, and I'm rooting for them. But U.S. District Judge Donald Middlebrooks issued the order Wednesday after Wren was a no-show at a last-ditch hearing to explain why she hasn't complied with the subpoena. He said the daily fine, he said, needed to be stiff enough to enforce compliance was his preferred course of action. I don't want to resort to incarceration if at all possible, the judge said.
Oh, yes, you do. Come on, Middlebrooks. Do it.
Do it. Wren did not immediately respond to a request for comment. She's not the only witness facing scrutiny from a federal court over defiance of a subpoena in the lawsuit, however.
That's right. She's not the only one. Judge Middlebrooks, by the way, he's the same judge that dismissed Trump's civil lawsuit against Hillary Clinton and 31 other defendants, including past co-hosts like Pete Strzok and current co-hosts like Andy McCabe. But he dismissed that, accused the Trump regime, the Trump group of judge shopping, because Middlebrooks is down there where Eileen Cannon sits. So anyway, that's Judge Middlebrooks. I love this guy. Politico says on Tuesday, a lawyer for the police officers told U.S. District Judge Edgardo Ramos that, quote, there's really been radio silence in response to their April 2024 subpoena to Rudy Giuliani, whom the officers say was, quote, heavily involved in core aspects of planning the events of January 6th. The lawyer, Josh Margolin, said he has never heard from Giuliani or a lawyer representing him in the case. Quote, as you can see, he said to the judge while gesturing to an empty table behind him, there's no counsel for Rudy. Ramos indicated he would issue a written decision on the matter soon, saying, I know just from life that Mr. Giuliani has had more than one case in this court. He's not a stranger to this court for a number of reasons. I know just from life.
That is a classic line. Oh my gosh. That is great, just from life.
So we will keep you posted on what Judge Ramos says about it, because his written order isn't up yet, about Rudy.
Yeah.
He could start getting fined on the daily if he doesn't produce documents.
Yeah, he sure could. Lawyers for the Capitol and D.C. police officers subpoenaed Wren in May 2024 after spending a year trying to formally serve her with the binding document. After she skipped the subpoena deadline, Middlebrooks granted an effort to legally compel her to comply. U.S. Marshals served her with Middlebrooks' order February 7th, 2025. The attorney said Wren has still not made contact or shown any effort to comply with the court's orders and the original subpoena, leading them to seek contempt and sanctions to compel her cooperation.
Yep, and that's what led to the fine, because the judge said, I do find her in civil contempt, and I'm going to impose a fine of $2,000 a day until she complies.
That's not light. I mean, I don't know what her financial situation is. But
well, maybe she's got leftover January 6th money. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. $10,000 a day isn't, 7 days a week. So because that court's open on the weekends.
Now, Middlebrooks hinted again at the possibility of jail for Wren if she didn't comply after she was fined, saying, quote, we may need to take additional steps, but I hope that's not necessary. I don't want to involve the marshals again unless we have to take another step to enforce compliance, he said. But according to a new filing, lawyers for the police officers suing Donald Trump over January 6th said that the day after the judge held her in contempt and threatened jail, Caroline Wren reached out and delivered all the documents they've been seeking for months. Mm-hmm. So contempt fines and the threat of jail,
it works.
Work. So I'm very, very glad. F. Caroline Wren. She's awful and horrible. I hope she turned over everything she was supposed to turn over. I bet she didn't.
Yeah, she's going to play this game in like maybe one document at a time or this and that.
Right. Or here's a bunch of newspapers I've been saving or whatever.
I tell you what, I hope it's damning. I hope it's damning for her.
Yeah, no, me too.
I hope it's damning, not just for, obviously we all know how bad Donald Trump and Rudy and all the planners were, but I hope it's damning for her.
Yeah, because this is our last chance to get some justice for the police officers that protected the Capitol and defended democracy on January 6th. They're not hanging up the plaque. Jack Smith's thing got tossed by the Supreme Court after they were granted Trump immunity. So now this is it, this civil case.
The civil case. So we're like I said, I know these officers personally. They were there, like a lot of us were, and they deserve this. We deserve this. It'll be a big win. They
did their jobs.
I'm not part of the lawsuit. For all our listeners, I'm not part of that lawsuit.
But the justice is nice, right? It's nice, right? Like I never got to take my attacker to court, which is why when E. Jean won, I felt like you won. I got a little bit of justice. All women around America were like, justice. 83, almost $90 million worth plus.
Yeah, plus interest. So yeah, we're rooting for these officers, and screw that lady Caroline Wren.
Yep, I hope they have to pay heavily. All right, we have some more bad news for some civil January 6th defendants, but we have to take a quick break, so stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Our next story comes from the Spokesman Review, a Spokane, Washington publication. Attorneys for a Seattle man seeking the names of 4 police officers who attended the violent January 6th insurrection, Stop the Steal rally at the nation's capital, are asking that they be held in contempt of court and sanctioned for refusing to follow a King County judge's order that they identify themselves. The motion was filed in King County Superior Court on Wednesday, just a day after U.S. Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan denied an emergency petition filed by the officers late last month to prevent the release of their identities. And after justices had already unanimously rejected another request in June.
Yeah, these cops have been trying real hard to keep their names out of the news. This is the latest turn in a years-long legal saga that has seen the officers fight to remain anonymous in state and federal courts. They have lost at every turn, but they aren't giving up. Neil Fox, an appellate attorney representing Sam Soka, a Seattle resident who in 2021 asked for the officers' identities via a public disclosure request, said that the officers filed a writ this week asking the full U.S. Supreme Court to hear their case. Now, meanwhile, Fox is asking King County Superior Court Judge Sandra Widlin, to hold the 4 officers in contempt and levy daily financial sanctions against them, like fines, like Caroline Wren, until they obey Widlin's June 18th order to identify themselves in court documents. Widlin issued that order after the U.S. Supreme Court denied the officers' petition and on the heels of a unanimous Washington State Supreme Court ruling saying the officers need to be identified.
Yeah, 6 Seattle police officers identifying themselves in court documents only as John Does 1 through 6 filed a lawsuit in 2021 against Soka and others seeking their identities. 2 of the officers were identified after they were fired when an investigation showed they trespassed and stood by during what the department called an active insurrection. The department found that the other 4 did not commit crimes. President Donald Trump has since pardoned all but a handful of nearly 1,500 people who were criminally charged for their involvement in the deadly attack on the Capitol.
Yeah, now shortly after the lawsuit was filed by the cops, Widlin ordered the officers to abandon their pseudonyms in court documents and identify themselves like any other plaintiff in any other lawsuit. In the years since, the State Court of Appeals and Washington State Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court have sided with Judge Widlin, although the officers have been allowed to maintain their anonymity during the legal proceedings. In their emergency petition to Justice Kagan, filed June 25th, the officers claimed the High Court's previous order did not address the immediate harm they would suffer if their names were added to the lawsuit. The officers claim, it's your lawsuit. If you want to sue,
put your name on it.
The officers claim that publishing their identities in the lawsuit and releasing information about an investigation conducted into their activities during Stop the Steal rallies would violate their First Amendment rights.
Woo boo hoo. Kagan, who was appointed by Barack Obama on Tuesday, rejected the officers' emergency application for a stay to prevent Widlin's order from going in effect. Telephone messages and email messages seeking comment from the officer's attorney, Joel Ard, were not immediately returned. In the contempt motion, Fox and another of Soka's attorneys, Janet Thorman, wrote that there is a valid order requiring plaintiffs to file their complaint using their real names. The deadline to do so has passed, they said.
Yeah, so forever, these officers, now 2 of them were identified. But the other 4
once they were
haven't
fired,
been. Right.
They committed crimes.
Right, but the other 4 haven't been, and they really don't want to be. And but every single court ever in the history of courts has ordered them to divulge their names. We're talking about the state court, the state Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, and now again on an emergency application from Kagan. Second time this has gone up to the Supreme Court. She says, no, get bent. She denied their emergency application for a stay. And so now what's happening, much like was happening in Caroline Wren's case, this guy from Seattle who in 2021 was just like, I want their names from a public
just a regular
thing.
Guy.
His lawyers are like, okay, judge, you should hold them in contempt now because they've been ordered by every single court in the history of the United States to turn over their names. And they aren't. So they should have daily fines, just like Caroline Wren did, until they hand over their names.
And you know what? You know what's crazy about people that actually follow and respect the rule of law? I feel like if this was the other way around and it was, time to expose liberals or whatever, they would have got that ruling and they were like, oh, we can say the names. And they would have published them on X or Twitter, any kind of social media.
They do that without getting permission.
Without getting permission. That's what I'm saying. That just shows the difference in people that actually respect the rule of law because they know it. I mean, obviously the judge and the attorneys know it, right? And they're bound by their code of ethics to not. But it just shows how different we are. They're not like us, Yeah,
and there was another difference. Today, the Supreme Court ruled that they without explanation on the emergency docket said Trump can dismantle the Department of Education.
Yeah.
However, when Biden was trying to get student debt forgiveness, or as Aaron Reichlin Melnick points out, not to put too fine a point on it, but the conservative majority wouldn't let Biden halt a single border program in a case where the plaintiffs did not have standing and the actions were clearly unlawful, the Texas border stuff.
But go ahead and just dismantle a whole department, which is...
But they, let Trump kill an entire department via clearly unlawful actions. This is a department established by Congress. Only Congress can unestablish it.
Mm-hmm.
So this inconsistency is jarring, right? It's like the inconsistency we see in the DOJ saying whether or not unrelated crimes to January 6th are included in pardons.
Yeah.
And I do have some breaking news as we sit here for you. Representative Mark Vesey, he's a Democrat from Texas, has introduced a formal resolution in the United States House of Representatives demanding the Trump administration immediately release all unclassified files, flight logs, correspondence, and evidence pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein. So they are trying to get a vote on this in the House now.
Interesting.
So we're going to find out sooner rather than later whether what we were talking about earlier, Harry, will Republicans in Congress stick up for Trump and Bondi about not releasing the Epstein stuff, or will they turn on him?
Yeah. And I'm glad to see Mark Vesey doing it. I know Congressman Vesey. He's a very nice guy, and he's no nonsense. He wants the truth. He actually believes in public service. And this is a public service. People need to know what type of predators are out there. We shouldn't be shielding predators. Get them all out there, expose them all. I don't care who they are, Democrats, Republicans, people that don't even vote at all. Get them all. Get them all. Nobody's exempt to this.
Yeah. And it says, I'm looking at the resolution right now, whereas on August 10th, 2019, Epstein died by apparent suicide while in federal custody. And whereas on July 2nd, 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested and later convicted on federal charges, including sex trafficking. Whereas President Donald J. Trump and senior members of his administration repeatedly assured the American public that the government would release the full accounting of the Jeffrey Epstein case, including the names of associates, thousands of pages of evidence, and potential criminal referral. And on July 7th, 2025, the Department of Justice announced it would not pursue charges against uncharged third parties and further declared that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted in the Epstein case. And also says, whereas this announcement directly contradicts the assurances made by prior administration officials and has caused renewed public concern that individuals involved in Epstein's network may evade accountability. And it goes on from there. But Kash Patel, where Kash Patel said he would do it, where Dan Bongino said he would do it. Attorney General Bondi told Mark Levin, certainly nothing can be withheld. In reference to public disclosure, the list is on my desk. Like
it's too many statements of them. These are their own words. This is not, just refuting or rebutting what Democrats said. These are their own words about getting to the bottom of it. And then all of a sudden it's just, never mind. We didn't mean it, y'all. We were just joking.
Yeah. Oh, and they mentioned Joe Rogan too. He mentions Joe Rogan on June 6th, like a month ago. Director Patel told Joe Rogan, you're going to get all the information. We're going to give you every single thing we have.
That is.
And whereas the American people have the right to know the full extent.
This sounds like a court order.
This is a resolution for the House. We'll see how, because now, dude, if the House Republicans, first of all, won't let Ghislaine Maxwell testify, and second of all,
this resolution.
Won't pass this resolution, then all the MAGA is going to be mad at not just Trump and Pam Bondi, but at
I bet you're going to see Elon come out in support of this too. Elon's going to want it, Oh yeah. All you need to do is let Elon.
He might be saying to Republicans, "Hey, if Trump abandons you because you turn on him, I'll support you in the midterms, or come join the America Party, or whatever
that dumb thing is." I tell you, I love this kind of chaos for them. I love it. It couldn't happen to a better group of people. Than
super bummed for them. All right, we have one more story to get to. This is we're going to give you an update on the Milwaukee judge Hannah Dugan that was arrested and charged by the Trump administration for apparently assisting a migrant from her court to go out a different door that was 10 feet away from the other door. And, as we know, she filed a motion to dismiss the charges against her. She's got a really, really good legal team. But a magistrate judge is recommending against dismissing the case. And we're going to talk about why, but we have to take this one last quick break. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We have one more story today. This one's about the Milwaukee judge, Hannah Dugan. She was the judge, like I said, that let a man leave her courtroom through a private door a few feet away from the regular courtroom doors where ICE agents were waiting to apprehend him. Now, you'll recall Judge Dugan's lawyers filed that motion to dismiss the whole case, citing judicial immunity, right? They even cited the Trump immunity case and the separation of powers under the 10th Amendment. All Rise News, Adam Klasfeld reports that on Monday, a federal magistrate judge rejected that argument, recommending that Dugan's case proceed to trial.
Yeah, the judge wrote, quote, "Perhaps in some future cases, the Supreme Court will expand the judicial immunity principles it has so firmly established in the civil context to the criminal prosecution of judges, as Dugan urges." U.S. Magistrate Judge Nancy Joseph wrote in a 37-page report, "At this time, however, I am unconvinced that either the common law or the Trump decision provide the authority for applying the civil framework of absolute judicial immunity for judicial acts to the prosecution of judges for crimes that relate to official duties."
Yeah, so the magistrate judge recommendation will now head to U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman for a final trial court level determination on the motion to dismiss. Okay, so this is just a magistrate judge making a recommendation to the district judge.
Yeah.
So the district judge will decide whether to dismiss. And if Edelman agrees with the magistrate judge, Dugan will stand trial for allegedly helping an undocumented immigrant evade arrest. She has pled not guilty to those allegations. Her case escalates Trump's attack on judges, or his attacks, plural, on judges, and of course politicians, and attacks on others perceived to oppose the administration's immigration agenda. Quote, "Dugan is presumed innocent, and innocent she remains, unless and until the government proves the allegations against her beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury trial." That's what the magistrate judge noted toward the end of her report, saying, look, this just isn't proper for a pretrial dismissal. And, she did what the Supreme Court should have done in the Trump case.
It's just silly.
Immunity doesn't really apply to criminal stuff, just civil stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's what she's saying.
Yeah, in April, federal authorities arrested Dugan over her actions that she took to control her courtroom when presiding over the Eduardo Flores Ruiz case. Prosecutors say that Dugan appeared visibly angry about Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE's presence outside the courtroom, where they were waiting in the hallway to arrest the defendant following a hearing. Dugan allegedly took Flores Ruiz through the jury door instead of the main exit, and the defendant left through the public hallway. Yeah,
and there's some new video that's been released that shows Dugan out there the judge talking to ICE agents and looking, and they said they had a warrant, and she's like, well, you have to go clear that with the chief judge, and pointed down the hall, and the two guys got up and walked down the hall, and after they left, she went back into her courtroom, and that's when this guy, Eduardo, left the courtroom and went down the hall to the elevators, but there was still another ICE officer in the hallway. So it wasn't like, I think the Trump administration is making it seem like Judge Dugan got rid of the ICE guys and then snuck this guy out. But this, if this does go to trial, just as the magistrate judge said, the burden is on the government to prove guilt. So, and it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, her case has provoked widespread alarm throughout the legal community. 138 state and federal judges filed an amicus brief in late May describing Dugan's indictment as an extraordinary and direct assault on the independence of the entire judicial system. Quote, permitting the prosecution of a state circuit court judge for conduct falling squarely within her rightful exercise of judicial discretion establishes a dangerous precedent that will chill judicial decision-making at every level. That's what the attorneys for the judges wrote. This case directly threatens the ability of all judges to do their jobs without fear or retaliatory prosecution. But here's the thing. As with the Trump immunity case, immunity arguments are interlocutory, meaning they have to be decided and fully litigated before the trial begins. So what I see happening here, and I could be wrong because this is a judge and not a president, but because it's an immunity argument, what I think might happen here is this will have to be appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will have to make a decision, a rule for the ages on immunity for judges in criminal situations like they did for Donald Trump.
See what they got themselves into?
And if they give a different level of immunity to a judge from a president, when the judges have the same immunity in civil suits that the president had in civil suits, it'll be interesting to see how and if they qualify that argument to say, well, Trump gets it, but the judge doesn't get it. Here's why.
That'll be definitely interesting to see.
And also, it will probably put this trial off for quite a long time, as Trump's trial was put off for quite a long time, because like I said, immunity arguments are interlocutory, which means they have to be decided before the thing goes to trial.
So does this now with this decision, if it comes to that, will it end up being that now the president is more powerful than judges? That just goes out the window, throw everything out about
the co-equal
branches of government. Throw it out and now say, go ahead and just say it. The president is now the most powerful branch.
Right, because Congress has some criminal immunity in what's called the speech or debate clause, right? Yep. Now we know presidents have criminal immunity and what shit they did last year with giving him a crown. Now, are you going to say judges don't? Are they not a co-equal branch as far as immunity is concerned? But the process of this is now going to be, I think, probably really delayed, which is good for Judge Dugan. But what it means is now it's got to go from this magistrate judge's recommendation. It's got to go to Judge Edelman. Judge Edelman will make a determination, and if she decides not to dismiss the case and it has to go to trial, that has to be able to be appealed, right, to the next to the appellate court. And then that will have to be decided on immunity, which could then be appealed en banc if Judge Dugan doesn't like the decision there. And then that'll have to go to the Supreme Court. And
Supreme Court and then federal Supreme Court? Can it go to state Supreme Court?
These are federal charges.
Okay.
So this is all federal court.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just like the Trump immunity argument. So it'll be interesting to see how long this takes. And what the Supreme Court does. And as we discussed a minute ago, they have a consistency problem.
That's exactly what they do.
So I'm not sure how they'll rule in this case. They probably just won't grant cert, which is what they should have done in the Trump immunity case. Because
but they didn't. But that's the thing. They didn't, though. So
the appellate court got it right in that. Anyway.
We'll see.
It'll be interesting to follow, and we'll keep an eye on it.
We'll have all the updates here.
Yeah, and I thought she'd made a pretty good argument, but like pretrial motions to dismiss are only granted in very rare and specific circumstances. But the judge said, here's just a couple more, put a little more meat on the bone about what this magistrate judge says. She said, having reviewed the law on judicial immunity in both civil and criminal contexts and having considered the parties' arguments on the existing precedent, the applicable law can be summarized as follows. In the civil context, it's well established and undisputed that judges have absolute immunity from civil lawsuits for monetary damages when engaging in judicial acts. But in the criminal context, review of the case law supports the following. First, judges are not immune from criminal prosecutions for acts wholly outside their official roles as judges. So we know that.
Yeah.
Dugan cites several examples that fit into this category, such as a state court judge who was convicted of murdering his wife as they watched television at home, and a state court judge who was convicted of sexual battery of a female lawyer in his chambers. Judges are not immune from prosecution for the criminal deprivation of constitutional rights under 18 U.S. Code 242, and judges are not shielded by judicial immunity for criminal prosecution for acts, though related to official duties, that they're in violation of criminal law. So the precedent right now is just kind of only for criminal acts outside of official duties.
Yeah. And this doesn't get much more than an official duty. She was holding court.
Right. And that is why it needs to be litigated up to the Supreme Court and why I think it's interlocutory. The judge said whether Dugan violated these statutes, as the government accuses, or whether she was merely performing her judicial duties, as Dugan asserts, those are questions for a jury that can't be resolved on a motion to dismiss. Additionally, that the allegations could also be addressed or are better addressed by the state's own judicial discipline procedures does not, as a matter of constitutional law, require dismissal of the indictment. So for those reasons, I recommend Dugan's motion to dismiss on the 10th Amendment grounds be denied. So that was her second argument in addition to immunity. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll follow it for you here on Cleanup on Aisle 45. And that's our show. I'm going to check one last time to see if there's any breaking news updates that I can share. But do you have any final thoughts today?
No, I don't. I don't have much to get in. I told you, like I said before the show, I had a lot of. I saw a Leguminati person out when I was in Costco today, and they said Harry Dunn. And I was like, oh, so we had a nice little moment there, and it was great to connect with somebody in Costco.
Did you give one of your patented Harry Dunn hugs?
I didn't. I was kind of flustered, and I owe you one. I'm so sorry, but I was flustered. I was not flustered. I needed to hurry up and get home. I had a lot of things that I had to do. So I wasn't
record the show.
Yeah, like record the show. Absolutely. So
very important work.
Yes, indeed.
My friend, it's always good to see you. And I'm not sure if we have a happy hour this Friday or the following Friday. I'm going to have to work that out. Are you available this Friday?
I think I am available this Friday. I mean, I can always make room for a little drink or whatever, you know.
All right. Well, patrons.
But yes, I am available this Friday, or at least, yes.
Patrons, we'll let you know via email whether it's going to be this Friday the 18th or Friday the 25th. So keep an eye on your junk, because a lot of times, see, when I started MSW Media and I went and I bought the URL, it was considered a premium URL. Like it's got, I don't know, it's a catchy name or it's cool or something. Or like, I don't know why. It's just more expensive. Probably because I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
But MSW Media emails often go to spam because I guess it just sounds so corporate. And we should have just named it like, I don't know, the Butthole Surfers or something. Emails would have been right into your inbox. But anyway, check your inbox, patrons. If you want to become a patron and join us, ask us questions, say hi. I think it's like just a couple bucks an episode. It's pretty cheap, and you get them ad free. You get the premium feed. You get them early, like a day at least.
At least a day early too. Yeah.
That's patreon.com/aisle45pod. So AISLE45POD. That is my spiel. Thank you so much. And thanks to our Hall of Fame patrons. We shouted you out earlier. You really make this show happen, and we appreciate you for supporting independent media. And we'll be back in your ears this weekend, possibly. So until then, I've been Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thank you all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.